welcome to Coach's Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi, and welcome our guest, one of the best sports writers in the country from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and host of the Cook and Joe Show and 93.7 The Fan. Welcome, Ron Cook. Ron, I have to say, in the 14 years of our show, this is the first time we've had back-to-back legends from Beaver County on our show. First Joe Namath, and now you.
I was going to think you were going to say Tony Dorsett might be coming on. So you're very kind, Ed. Very full of you-know-what, but you're very kind anyhow. Thank you for that.
All right, Ron, let's take a look at what's going on in the Pittsburgh sports scene. You know, the spring didn't end well with the Pens flaming out in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then the Pirates gave us some hope. Come to the break, 44-45, 2.5 out, and now 7-28 since the break. Another second half collapse. I think you wrote about this. This is the third or fourth time, and an embarrassing loss last night, 13-0. Ron, I see the Penguins are making changes. I have confidence they'll be back in the Stanley Cup. I don't have any confidence. I wonder if you do, that the Pirates have a plan to build a winner in Pittsburgh.
Well, it's awfully hard to feel that way. This collapse is one of the worst I've ever seen. I go back to one in 2012. They were like 16 games over 500 in August and still finished below 500. That was the 20th losing season in a row. But this is bad, as you point out, 7-28. And then I hear Neil Huntington on the radio saying that, the odds of this happening again, it's not going to happen again. That the pitching will be better next year, even though that doesn't sound like they're planning on spending any money to bring anybody in. He said maybe we'll find a Volquez or a Jay Happ or something cheap. Well, I don't even know who the pitching rotation is going to be next year. It's just awful. So with Tyone gone on next year, I'm already thinking next year is going to be a lost season too. So we'll see what can happen in the offseason. I know they can maybe trade Vasquez to get a starting pitcher, because having him certainly does you no good when you get beat all the time and you don't get to him in the ninth inning. So to answer your question, no, I have zero faith in this management group. None.
Ron, when you look at what the teams are spending in the Pirates division, forget about the Cubs and the Cardinals. The Pirates spend nearly $60 million less than the Brewers and the Reds. So that's what leaves me without any confidence that they're headed in the right direction.
Well, this owner has made it very clear they have a budget. They're going to stick to it. He's determined. He's making a lot of money. This isn't like hockey when they shut it down a number of years ago to get a salary cap. That was because almost all the teams were losing money and very few were making it. In baseball, everybody is making it. Some a lot more than others, but everybody is making it. They're not going to shut it down to get any kind of a salary cap or salary floor for that matter. I don't expect him to suddenly change and open up the books and open up the checkbooks and pay. I just don't see it happening. It's never happened in his regime, in his era, and I don't see it's going to happen now. And Ed, you know as well as I do, you live in America. Usually you get what you pay for, and I think the Pirates are getting what they pay for.
Ron, 2015, 98 wins. Man, everyone was excited about where the Pirates were going. I'm still scratching my head. What has happened since then to have 3 losing seasons in the last 4 years and not build on that season?
Well, they traded Neil Walker away, who was making a lot of money, and I understood why they traded him, but they got John Neese, who was an absolute horrible pitcher. They didn't add any pitching to it. I can't remember who they went to camp with. They're just hoping for a miracle, hoping the Ray Series could somehow perform magic, and it doesn't always work that way. So they just didn't add on when they had a chance. It's a shame. I thought the 15 team that won 98 games really could have won the World Series. I thought they were good enough to do it. They ran into Jake Arrieta in the wild card game, and Garrett Cole was no match for him that night. And that's, that may be a long time before we see them back in the playoffs. I said in 13 that I'd never see it again in my lifetime, and they proved me wrong, even though they've never won a division since 92, never won a playoff series since, 79. So maybe they'll prove me wrong again, but I'm not counting on it, at least in my career.
Ron, it appears to me, you correct me if I'm wrong, that this team seems like it's packed it in for the season. People talk about a house cleaning, but really getting rid of Hurdle and Huntington and leaving Nutting there, what's really going to change?
No, I don't think anything. I mean, to me, it's a cosmetic change. I don't know that the greatest manager in the history of the world could win, with the handcuffs on that these guys do. And I think it's time for Hurdle. Maybe he even admitted in Colorado it was time for him to move on. That his message kind of fell by the wayside with the players, and maybe that's happening. You don't know what you're going to get. Who's going to want to come in here and work for this guy? Maybe you'll get a Jim Leland. Maybe some guy that's, thinks he can do it, and maybe you'll get Jim Leland, or maybe you'll get John Russell that they had from, 8 to 10 and just turned out to be a disaster. So I do not think Hurdle is the primary problem. I think Huntington is a bigger problem, and certainly not the number one problem is just the owner.
Ron, let's switch gears and take a look at Pitt football. The opener just about a week and a half away with Virginia. A.D. Heather Like and Coach Pat Narduzzi, they believe Pitt is headed in the right direction. So I want to look at last year, Coastal Division champs, 7-7, but 3 straight losses and 1-4 against ranked teams. Narduzzi 28-24. We're kind of waiting for that breakout year, but I don't see anything different here from the Wannstedt years or Paul Christ.
No, I'm not at all sold either. And I mean, this is Narduzzi's 5th year. It's time to see some wins. I have real mixed feelings about last year. To win a Coastal Division that's great. You can put up a championship banner. Even though I don't think the division was very good last year, it's still, you won it. But when you go to Miami and lose 24-3 and don't even show up, and then throw for 8 yards against Clemson in the ACC championship game, and then play a snoozer against Stanford and lose, 7-7, I'm sorry, is not a good year. I don't care if you did win the Coastal Division. It's not a good season when you don't have a winning record, and then you throw on top of it they lost to their rival at home, Penn State, by 45 points, 51-6. I dare anyone to call that a good season. I certainly don't.
Ron, in the remaining minutes here, I couldn't agree with you more about Pitt. Let's take a look at the Steelers, 9-6-1, 2018, an extension for Coach Tomlin. I think he is a good coach, but you know as well as I do, Ron, good coaches get fired in the NFL. How much is the pressure ramped up on him and the Steelers this year to have a big year?
Well, coaches get fired except by the Steelers. I mean, when you've had 3 guys since 1969, and Chuck Noll had some real bad years in the 80s. Bill Cowher went 3 years in a row, missed the playoffs, and they gave him an extension. I don't think Tomlin is going anywhere unless it's by his choice. I say I'm not bullish on Pitt. I think the Steelers are going to have a really good year. I really do. As long as everybody, the right people stay healthy. They lose Ben, obviously, or Pouncey, or maybe Hayden. I won't feel that way, but I think they're going to have a good year. I think they're going to win the division. I'm not buying the Cleveland hype. I want to see them win, actually, before I'll buy into it. And I think the Steelers win the division. You get into the tournament, anything can happen.
Hey, Ron, always good talking to you. Appreciate you coming on a show, and I look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks at Heinz Field.
All right, Ed. Thank you for having me. Always my pleasure.
Thanks, Ron. I'll be right back with Al and George. I am back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to the left of Tiger Albert Campman. Guys, just had Ron Cook on. Does a great job writing for the Post-Gazette and on 93.7 The Fan with the Cook and Joe show. But the sad part of it is I was talking to him before we went on air. The Post-Gazette now cutting out 2 days. Soon it'll be 3 days, and after that, there will be no Post-Gazette. This comes from the time, I don't know about you guys, and from when I was a kid. All those papers in Pittsburgh, the Press, the Post-Gazette, the Sun Telly, getting those papers every day, looking at the box scores and following the teams, and not only in Pittsburgh, across the country. It's a sad day coming when the Post-Gazette shuts down.
For us it is, because you're looking at 3 dinosaurs that lived and died, sports, through the Post-Gazette, the Press. And now it is heading totally on the internet. It's amazing. It's not going to stop. the technology is heading out. It's a sad word.
And
you figure they're going to do Saturday. Saturdays, they're huge high school
football.
Yes. They're not going to drop Saturday. And Sunday's the most expensive paper.
The
Right?
only thing in the future for us to do our work, we'll have to go to the digital.
Well, that's what
aspect
they're pushing.
They're pushing that way totally.
We're pushing it
Yeah.
there, and that's the direction. And I feel sorry for all these guys and their writers, and they're going to lose their jobs.
It'll be like being an auto mechanic.
Yes.
If you don't have the computer, you can't fix the car.
Let's go to Spotlight. High school golf girls. Butler's Paige Scott shot a 1-under par 34 to lead the Tornado to an opening match win over Seneca Valley. That was Friday the 16th. The next day at the Tornado fundraiser outing at Highland Golf Course, she nailed a hole-in-one on a 155-yard number 9 hole. Not bad.
Hope she won a car.
She can't win anything.
Okay.
WPL rules.
That's it. Then.
She
Okay.
can't. She'd lose her eligibility.
Okay.
She can't accept
Nice.
even an ice cream cone.
Gotcha.
Walker Ellison of Slippery Rock High School is 76 as the Rockets finish third at the Mercer County Invite. In boys golf, Jacob Wolak, a 74, and Logan Wolak, a 76 for Slippery Rock High School in the Region 2 golf match. Nate Tack of Montauk shot a 38. Lernerville Speedway, Ken Schaltenbrand of Sarver won his first ever points title. AJ Flick won the sprints. Jared Miley, the late models. Dave Murdick, the modifieds. Joey Zambati, the pro stocks. There were like 90 cars involved.
Beautiful. Well, I know this. My grandson went to Lawrence County Fair, and he'll end up there pretty soon because he loved the demolition derby. He was all over that one.
You'd be good in that. Yeah, that'd be your forte.
Put in reverse and go.
That's all there is to it.
Eagle County League Baseball, Mars defeated Cranberry 5-4 to win its second straight league title. Winning pitcher Greg Fredericks, he had 6 innings, 9 Ks. Jim Pasquine of Mars, 2 hits. And Jeremy Alimo of Cranberry, 2 hits. In college baseball, DJ Cannon of Mars, he was named the new baseball coach at Chatham. Cannon has been the pitching coach at Seton Hill the last 6 years. And in boxing at Neville Island, Butler Cubs boxer Hayden Gregg, 132-pound class, he won a unanimous decision over Camden Kuski. Neville Island, you know Big Rich. Big Rich thinks he wants to, when he gets married, wants to take his wife to an island vacation. He's thinking about Neville Island.
There you go. There's a place for him to go. I like to see these Cubs kids. I thought over the years when we do boxing, I thought a couple of the Cubs kids got slighted because of people not wanting to bend over, and I thought a couple of the Cubs kids got bad decisions.
Yes, I would agree with you. Our stories of the week. Here it is. High school football opens with a full slate with week 0. Some of the top matchups coming up this weekend if you want to see some good high school football games. Penn Hills, the 2018 5A WPIAL and state champs. They are at 6A Pine Richland, the 2018 WPIAL champs. That ought to be a great matchup. Aliquippa 3A WPIAL and state champs. They're at Clerton. That will be Saturday. Sharon at 2A District 10 champion Wilmington. I think Wilmington's loaded again.
Very good. I hear
They
good
are
stuff.
on the line of scrimmage.
On the line, and you know that's where they beat you up.
And Friendship Collegiate Academy out of Washington, D.C. at North Allegheny. I don't think there'll be any friendship involved at all there.
No.
They're going to come in with a pretty good team. Last year I saw St. John's out of D.C. play, and they manhandled Central Catholic.
Well, St. John's goes back to Mike Kruzek. They've had tradition there. I don't know about this team. They better bring their lunch if they're going to N.A.
And Freeport will be at Derry. Derry was 11-2 last year. And just let me say this, Butler will open the season at North Hills, trying to avoid a second straight winless season and their 4th winless season in the last 15 years. You know, guys, this has fallen so far. There are only about 40 players on a team. I don't think they'll have a JV schedule. It's really puzzling how this is tumbled down so fast. The last time they had a winning season and made the playoffs was 1993 under Coach Bill Borwin.
Yeah, so we should not expect a major turnaround. Let's understand what they are going to have to turn around slowly.
And they should be home in that game, too.
Slowly.
I think it's at North Hills.
I watched that on TV last year. There.
I'm pretty sure it's at North Hills.
So you're saying they might go back to back there?
No,
Jeez,
because it should be home.
Wow.
I'm almost certain
Okay.
it's at North Hills. Now, our 2019 preseason power rankings from last year's record, you will see next to the team. 1 asterisk means a district championship. 2 means a district and a state championship. And 6A, it's Pine Richland, followed by Seneca Valley, North Allegheny, Central Catholic, Mount Lebanon in there with a losing record 5 and 6, but only 9 teams in that conference.
Right.
Things should change dramatically. Bob Palco's there, and I'm hearing from a lot of people one thing that enticed them to a job. They have some great young players on that team.
He wanted to take the job. There was no chance. There was no chance
question.
that Palco would go to a losing program. He knew what he studied that. That was in place long before he got out.
And remember, too, you people with the Stars, if you don't win the district, you can't win the state. It's not like basketball.
Let's go to 5A. I have Gateway at the top. They lost 1 game last year, upset by West Allegheny, followed by Penn Hills. They were 16-0. West Allegheny, Peters Township, and McKeesport. Gateway with several Division I players, including one of the best in the area in Derek Davis with that 4.4 speed at linebacker and running back. In 4A, it's Thomas Jefferson, South Fayette, Blackhawk, Bell Vernon, and Beaver. In 3A, Aliquippa, North Catholic, Beaver Falls, Darien, Grove City. There's Aliquippa, 9 through 12, 75 players out.
Yeah, Faro and Aliquippa are the two amazing teams that graduate 30 kids and come back and whoop you every year. It's the truth. It's amazing.
The whole 3/4 of the student body's on the team.
Let me ask you, at Aliquippa, when you say there are 29 boys or 30 boys in a senior class, or
Yes.
30 total?
Oh, yeah. No, 30 boys. That's
30
what it
boys.
is. 30 boys. They'll graduate about
Still,
60
that's 50
kids.
out of 90.
Those,
And they could be playing at 1A, right?
for
yeah.
last 20 years, they could have been.
Yeah.
Wilmington has 50 out, too. They only have like 150.
Let's go to 2A. It's Wilmington, 13-1 at the top, followed by Still Valley, Charleroi, Freedom, and Southside Beaver. And then in 1A, it's Olsh, Rochester, Jeanette, Clairton, and Monessen.
Yeah, those teams are traditional. They have a legacy that's always good. And when we look at Rip Van Winkle, as George said, you fall asleep, you wake up and say, they're still there. Those
There's
same
about
teams.
3/4 of them.
There's
If you
some-
took a nap 5
yes.
years ago, you'd get 3/4 of them.
Yes.
Our fall broadcast schedule, as is our custom, we move things around, try to get so many different schools in our viewing audience. We'll kick it off Football Friday, September 13th, Montauk at Karn City at neighborhood rivalry. It heats up again. And then Friday, October the 11th, we'll be up in your neck of the woods with the Elwood City Wolverines
It's great.
over at the Riverside
Great rivalry.
Panthers. And we have a couple of girls volleyball games we'd love to do. These are all powerhouse teams. October the 8th, Mars at Knock, and September the 19th, North Allegheny at Seneca Valley.
Yeah, and George loves his volleyball. George always talks about the volleyball and how good the varsity is and the JVs. And our football, we've had some great games, Eddie. We have seen some great games, no question about it.
Let's go to Major League Baseball. I really don't want to, but the
Well,
Pirates
this is crazy.
51-73, an embarrassing loss last night, 13-0, 7-28 in this second half. On pace to be the worst post All-Star break record since the All-Star game started in 1933 or 36. It appears to me, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like this team's packed it in.
Well, they're playing. They don't get. Excuse me. They don't get a chance because of their pitching. You know, when you're down 7-0, 5-0, 3-0 after 2 innings every night, it makes you look that way. I mean, I still see every guy running the ball, running hard. It's just their pitching allows them no chance.
As I was talking with Ron Cook, you look how the Penguins finished the season, and then making a lot of changes, rebuilding. They're going to make another run to play the Stanley Cup playoff. But I asked Ron, does he have any confidence that the Pirates can build a winner there, and he does not.
I don't either. I never have.
Well, I hear that coming from you.
Yeah, I don't. But I'm not talking about. I'm talking. They can't do it the way the baseball's set up. I don't care what it is. They need that floor.
And you can't do it the way Nutting's doing it, Albert, when not even including the Cardinals and the Cubs, as I said last week, but the Reds and the Brewers spend nearly $60 million more a year than the Pirates.
Yeah, that's true, and they're not going to win either. So think about how bad it is for Pittsburgh.
But they're doing a lot better.
Because I just think the Brewers and Reds are out there too. They're no good either. So that's how bad the Pirates are playing. But I said it here 5 weeks ago, or 4 weeks. They run together. They should have traded Vasquez. I know I said it. Everybody looked at me like I was nuts. They needed
twice in 13 days.
They needed 3 or 4 good players to make that team.
You're right.
And if they didn't do it, now they're looking back. Thinking,
I asked Cook this question. What do you guys think? Why clean house with the coaching staff when you still have the same owner there who's not going to make any difference?
And that's why they won't clean house. I don't think they will clean house. It'd be the stupidest thing to do because they were 2.5 games out of first place at the All-Star break. It isn't like so.
This is the 4th collapse post All-Star in the 13
This is the
years.
all-timer. This is the like you said. This could be a record.
Yeah. The other time they went like 16 and 50 something.
I have one other good buddy like him, and when those two give up, that's it.
Yeah, well, as we said before, anger turns to indifference. Indifference is what keeps the fans away. And you saw last night there was a paltry crowd, and there was actually some booing there in the 4th inning or 5th inning.
You have to.
And it's going to continue to decline here. What do they have, about 18 more games at home?
And what's interesting, they built their team around. I mean, when you're talking a Pittsburgh fan, this is what you were hoping to see: McCutchen, Marte, and Polanco, and a pitching staff of Cole, Glasnow, and Talion. You don't have any of them. You have one left, Marte, out of the 6. Think about that.
And Tyone, speaking of him, season-ending Tommy John surgery, his second Tommy John surgery. He's out until 2021.
Think about it. He hasn't pitched since 18.
That's so sad.
And he's out till 21.
What do? You bring him back as a reliever, middle reliever? I don't think he has that endurance to go 5, 6, 7 innings. He may be a 2-3 inning pitcher if you want to keep his career alive.
Yeah, I feel bad for the kid.
It isn't like it's not their worst pitcher. It's their best pitcher by far, and he goes down for the count.
And he had survived cancer too.
Yes,
I mean, give him a break.
Oh my.
Hey, bombs away over the weekend. How about these 2 games? Brewers 15, Washington 14. I was on Saturday. Brewers hit 7 homers, had 20 hits. Washington had 4 homers and 19 hits. Then on Sunday, Washington 16, the Brewers 8. 8 home runs and 19 hits for Washington. 4 home runs and 17 hits for the Brewers. So in the 2 games, 53 runs, 23 home runs, 75 hits. It was a nice softball tournament.
They have to think that Al Campman is a dummy. Because they keep telling me on every show I watch that the pitching is great. And Eddie, I keep thinking.
Who says that?
Oh, every. I heard it today on the way up again today. They hitters. It's impossible to hit in major leagues today because they throw sliders on 2-0 counts, and they throw. And I want to think, what are they watching? I see fastball after fastball down the middle, taking off about 350 feet. Eddie, they have to think I'm a dummy.
There were 50 home runs hit
I know.
Sunday.
They have to think I'm a dummy.
On Sunday, there were 50.
I think the Pirates are going to run out of baseballs there. When I said, somebody better call Dix.
Well,
because they're not going to have enough balls to finish.
And the only problem, if you want one, get down there and get them because there was no one in the outfield stands when they landed.
Please stop telling me. Please stop telling me.
I still go.
I still go. I was there Friday night. I'm going Thursday night. I go.
You remember what Casey Stengel said when he first had the terrible Mets? Can anyone here play? Yeah. He would say, "Can anyone here pitch?"
Yes, that's the answer.
Yeah,
yes.
And this is a record this year: more position players in blowouts.
The Brewers and Jung Ho Gung's agent are negotiating, trying to sign him to a minor league deal.
Somebody will try because he has power. And somebody will say they'll try to correct his stroke. They all take chances on somebody with power, Eddie. In today's world, they don't want a singles hitter. They want somebody hit the ball out of the park.
I think he can hit 20 to 25.
That's what they think
every day. But he fits somewhere.
Hey, National League wild card. It's one thing. Attendance in baseball is dipped, but at least for these cities, there's some excitement there. Especially in the American League, we have Cleveland, Tampa, Oakland, and Boston. But those first 3, they're really on top of one another, separated by a game and a half. Boston back at 67-59. In the National League, you have the Cubs, Milwaukee, New York, Philly, and even Arizona at 62 and 63 still in it.
Yeah, you got hope. That's what the wild card did for Major League Baseball. It gave somebody like
a second wild card.
Yeah, yes.
It's the one that it's really giving them.
Major League Baseball, this date in history, August the 17th, 1920. Cleveland shortstop Ray Chapman died from a beating by Yankee pitcher Carl Mays. Until this day, guys, the only on-field fatality in Major League Baseball history.
That's news.
No helmets in those days.
Yeah, and I remember when Tony Canigliaro got hit
Took
and
it in
ruined
the
his
face.
career. Took it on, that's the worst one I've seen. That his face looked deformed with
Remember
black
when
and
he-
blue, and it was. Yeah,
Now, they used to wear those things under the helmet.
and he was
Remember?
never the same.
Under their hat.
Yes, he was never the same.
And one of the it was when Herb Score, great Cleveland pitcher,
remember that.
was struck in the face
Yes.
with a line drive by
Never
Gilbert
the same
Goodwin
either,
of the
yes.
Yankees.
Uh-huh.
He was never the same. How could you be?
Right.
Wow.
And this date in history, August 16th, 1947, Forbes Field, Pittsburgh. Ralph Kiner of the Pirates became the first Bucco to hit 3 consecutive home runs in a 12-7 win over St. Louis. I think that was Kiner's corner in those days.
Well, this team reminds me of Connors Corners teams. The Pirates were so bad in those days; they fit right in with the lousy Pirate teams of the 40s.
Hey, how great was Kiner? His first 7 years, he either tied or won the National League home run.
He was a great power hitter. Yes.
College football starts off this Saturday, August the 24th, but next week we'll have our college football preseason show and rankings and talk about Pitt. But this weekend, the kickoff, Florida's at Miami, Arizona's at Hawaii.
We love the King. All three of us are big football fans. We love when it shows up. The Florida-Miami game is very interesting because the loser is going to take a spill immediately.
Haven't played for a while.
Yeah.
Used to play all the time. Yeah.
Big debut for new Miami coach. Took the job at Temple Diaz and went right back to Miami within
he knows
about
the
a
tradition
week.
they have. He knows.
Yeah, he does know that.
And he knows the high schools. So he can go to that Florida and recruit like crazy, and he can get a good play.
And they've
he can turn around in a
they've
hurry.
lost their crowds too.
Yes.
He may be what their Latino base needs to get back in there because Miami used to be a tough place to play.
Miami is one of the few schools that doesn't mind playing on the road
No,
They've always been that way.
because they don't get the home crowd.
I think the new one. I think it's 20 miles.
Guys, the big news this week, the ACC network opens this week. It'll be on 24/7. Man, the exposure is unbelievable. Not every cable station will cover it. How about the Big Ten network? You know what their revenue was last year for the Big Ten? $759 million. The ACC made $459.
You wonder why
the
they don't care if they
SEC
win.
was $600 million. But here's the thing I want to say. Pitt's going to enrich their
Sure.
coffers.
Oh my, sure.
However, this may put another dent in what already is poor football attendance. It may further hurt their
Who's
gate
going to get
attendance.
the 11 a.m. games? Pitt, Wake Forest,
Wow.
Duke, right?
Same
Pitt-
team.
Who's going to get the lousy time?
Right, the opening game, Virginia's 31st at 7:30
Yep.
at night. Then the next week it's Ohio U at 11.
There you go. There you go.
That's going to kill
What do you
the
think
crowd.
about the Virginia crowd? Will they have a big crowd for that one, Eddie?
They'll bring some people up
Some
from
people for that one, okay.
Virginia.
All right.
I'll be disappointed if there's not a crowd of 45,000.
Okay.
We'll make it
there that
45,000.
night.
We'll be happy for that.
I was looking up their attendance the other day because the place it isn't like Penn State.
Right,
High.
106. I
No,
know.
but they were at like 72% or something. And a lot of those are seats sold, but when you go to the actual game,
They're not there, are they?
I told you two years ago, the trivia question was, I asked people, what was Pitt's biggest home crowd? A lot of people said Miami. It wasn't. They only had 38,000. The biggest was Youngstown State in the opener, 41,000.
Wow, that's a good trivia
Because
question.
a lot of
They
those people,
brought-
The
they
Penguins.
came.
Go Pens.
Yeah, they opened
Just
Saturday.
like a lot of the Pirate games, you see fans from
Oh, the Cubs bring them.
Cubs.
Cubs
and
bring
even
them.
last night, a lot from the Washington National Cubs.
Yes.
Hey, that's it for us. Next week, we'll have our college preseason evaluations for you. Thanks for joining us.